The devil was most definitely on someone's shoulder in this one. Common side effects, episode 6. So we have Francis, who is still thinking about everything that's happened up until now. She ends up looking for Socrates the tortoise, can't find him. Of course, Cabano and Harrington pick him up, and that's kind of where this Viking meetup happens. She kind of gets jumped by the neighbor wanting some mushrooms, and we know she's got mushrooms, so we kind of see through her whole entire plot and what she's kind of contemplating. After things work out, she goes to see her mother, and that's where the stepping stone kind of starts. Her mother goes on about this drug, and Francis, of course, brings up Marshall, and the mom's like, "You need to forget about this Marshall. What you have here is amazing. It can save many people." And that transpires her to actually go to the prison and have a phone call with no other than Marshall. And it's very awkward because she's very unease. She's like tapping her feet, and she's just out of it. Marshall even notices this and calls it out. It finally gets kind of cut off. She leaves, and the next part is like the final stick in the coffin, stone in the coffin, whatever the saying is. She meets up with Rick, and she goes for it. She goes for what she's wanted this whole time in the series. So since episode 1, she has been wanting some type of money that she can stand on and be good for life. And she's like, "Rick, I got it." Rick's already in the dumps. He's been basically he's been thrown down. He knows he's gonna lose his job. That's where Francis comes in and basically plays the biggest card of all. She asks for these stock options, high paychecks, a car so she doesn't have to take the bus, the whole 9 yards. And she pulls out this mushroom. I mean, I can't blame Francis, but now her as a person, she has to kind of come to terms with this that she betrayed her friend all for this money. And I know it's life changing, but it's gonna haunt her in the end, I feel like. We move along from this to getting to Capano and Harrington, which is really quite sad, actually. So they get called up by some people in Washington. Basically, I'm gonna guess the FBI equivalent. And it's this woman. She's asking about Marshall as well as the woman. And of course, they're just interested in these mushrooms. That's where things aren't fully answered, but we get to know there is actually someone on the inside that is going to be taking care of things. Like it is hinted, and we had this very confusing part with a character we don't know yet. He went into this gas station and started breaking stuff, and he even had a gun, and yeah, he was just trying to get arrested. So that's the tie-in here, and it was somewhat clear at this point. We kind of knew this. Moving on. So the big thing with them, and the reason I'm bringing them up, is because Chief basically talks to him after it was quite a little bit in this episode, but things had to happen. They think they're basically goofballs. They get split apart. Harrington gets to move up, and then Cabano gets to do the nightclub and the street cop stuff. So they got separated, and I really love this duo. I I hope eventually they do get back together because I think they're wonderful, and they're the vibe. They're the party, man. That's all I gotta say. The party, the vibe. And finally, I know this is the main beat and bones of the episode. Marshall is in prison. He uh he really doesn't know how to cope here. Now he's been into Peruvian prison, which is way different than here, but he's having to kind of get used to it. It's kind of confusing on what's going on with his life in the block. It seems like people don't like him, but he does have this Funky who is a druggie. Things are kind of down, but up. But the big chasing point for Marshall here is his Bunky ends up having some type of withdrawal, and that's where earlier, whenever he was out in the yard, he gives him this root and cures him. On top of that, back at the yard, we get to know that Marshall is indeed not the one that made these fires. It was actually another person that framed him. So, of course, we kind of already knew this because of the preview. Just add it in there. Okay? Very important. Um, Things are just interesting. Like I said, that phone call stuff, it happens between a lot of this. He is now, yeah, he's now the doctor of this one guy who's like, he gets all the rich stuff, and then happened after this cafeteria scuffle where some dude, I guess, was gonna take his tray or something. Yeah, he got guarded up. So that is interesting, but Marshall's gonna survive. He's got people that are gonna protect him. It's good. Middle of the night, this is just a normal night. He decides to make a call, and his monkey's like, "Hey, go to the laundry room. There's a phone there. Of course, it's a smuggle phone. It's a jail/prison." And he calls the same place that Francis works at. He was having some bad nightmares. The thought he kind of had a feeling, and that on top of that, what I didn't mention that connects all of this is Hildy actually herself went to go and meet Marshall as well, and that turns into Hildy given a little bit of information that Marshall didn't need to know. Her, his little girlfriend here, she is in fact a part of this corporation. He's thinking about all the hints, and during this phone call, we kind of had some anticipation of what was going to happen. He calls this office, and he straight up asks, "Hey, do you know Francis?" Now, she does have a last name, I just don't remember it. Don't know how important it is to remember a character's last name. I'm lucky enough to remember the first. But she answers herself. She's finally got her office, and she's portrayed Marshall. She has portrayed Marshall. What else is there to say? Now, after this phone call transpires, he kind of just like just sits there like, oh, just at that second he's just like sitting on the phone, and it was just quiet. He kind of hangs up. Francis even goes Marshall shortly after hangs up. That's where this crazy, crazy, crazy cliffhanger comes off. He ends up getting jumped by the same dude that went to do this like robbery and got himself arrested. So the connection is this is some government dude, more than likely. If he's not a government dude, he's hired by the government. I want to say they got into this like big brawl out on the floor, and he got stuck with a needle. I'm guessing it's some type of sedative, and he's gonna get hauled off and questioned somewhere else. And I'm more or less interested to see how it's all gonna work out overall. I love the series. I think it's interesting. Upcoming episode is going to be pretty big to see the next direction. And with that, I will get to the rating. I'm going to say positively 8.6. It's that great. It's unique. Some people say it's weird, but that's a big part of it. It's trying to be weird. Adult Swim weird, in fact. It's that animation and that style, the trips. With I guess along with all that, we go to the question of the day. Question of the day is, do you think that Marshall was hit with a sedative and they're gonna go ahead and question him? Anyway, guys, hope you stay safe. Until next time, peace out.